Hello, it's me again. I'm just going to talk about a few things. I'm going to start by talking about the murder of George Floyd by Derek Chauvin, or Derek Chauvin, or however his name is pronounced. In any case, he's a murderer. He killed George Floyd by applying pressure to his neck with his knee for nearly 9 minutes. 9 minutes, okay? That is enough to starve the brain of oxygen. And even if George Floyd had survived that, he would have been seriously brain damaged. And he's not, he's dead instead. And this kind of thing happens on a day-to-day basis in the United States. The police in the United States are absolutely out of control. They're trigger happy. They see a black person or a brown person. It's as if, well, hey, look, they've got a target. It's their skin. I'm going to put a bullet into them. That's pretty much how they operate. With an excess use of force. It's no wonder, really, that black people are angry. It's no wonder that millions of Americans have actually taken to the street to say no more. Enough is enough. And protests actually happened here in the United Kingdom too, and all across the world, and in a massive show of solidarity. I don't know if any of you have noticed, but Chauvin, or Chauvin, his surname forms the first 8 letters of the word chauvinism. There you go. Amazing coincidence. But the protests that followed were met with the usual howls of derision from the right-wing press, and of course the white supremacists who also comment on political matters and social matters indeed. And they were blaming outside agitators. No proof at all. You know, it's Antifa. It's anarchist. It's the left. No organizations were named at all. But it reminded me of the same kinds of complaints, or at least similar kinds of complaints, during the civil rights era of the 1960s and 70s, when then Jews or the communists would be named as the real force behind these black people. Because the discourse there is that black people can't organize and they can't think for themselves. But I think history shows us that is not actually the case. I mean, look at the Black Panther Party, for example, who were very well organized. They had breakfast clubs for children because they realized that if children didn't go, if children didn't have breakfast before going to school, then they would suffer. This idea that black people are mostly physical and aren't intellectual. It's absolute garbage. Of course it is, and it's racist. In fact, it forms part of the structural nature of racism because it comes complete with its own structures, its own history, in a way that so-called anti-white racism doesn't, which doesn't really exist, let's face it. And it is what Pierre Bourdieu, the sociologist, would describe as a form of symbolic violence. So quite often the people who are symbolically violent don't realize that they are being that way, and indeed the victims don't realize it themselves quite often. But symbolic violence happens through institutions and structures as well. Just to give you an example, the last 10 years of austerity have been a form of symbolic violence. You see, governments don't really need death squads or goon squads anymore. They can use policies, cruel social policies, to crush people. That's how it works, okay? And it also happens in the use of language through the media. Take, for example, again, the death of George Floyd. that footage was shown, I don't know how many times, over and over and over again in a single newscast. And especially on 24-hour rolling news. It's like, hey, you didn't see it the first time? Well, here it is again. Here it is again. What? You didn't get enough black people? Here it is again. Here's some more. So that could be seen as a form of symbolic violence. The racist and sexist jokes that were told in the United Kingdom by people like Bernard Manning, for example, could also be regarded as a form of symbolic violence because it is part of a power relationship where you have a dominant social group using those means to keep subordinate groups down, or groups that they see as subordinate down. Anyway, let's talk about Donald Trump, because protesters converged on the White House. And what did he do? He hid in his bunker. And it reminded me of Richard Nixon back in 1974, who, when faced with anti-Vietnam War protesters, ringed the streets around the White House with tanks. Quite an unprecedented move. But Bush, he had a bunker, and so he went and hid in it. Of course, he denied that he hidden in his bunker. Yeah, I didn't hide in my bunker. I went to inspect the bunker. I like bunkers. Bunkers are great places. They're really wonderful places, tremendous places. They're very bunker-like. And I liked Archie Bunker, too. Great guy. Yeah, he's from Queens. Great guy. Wonderful guy. Tremendous guy. Talked a lot of sense. Really good guy. I was really sad when he died, but good guy. Really good guy. But the only bunker I don't like is the bunker on the fairway. On golf courses, they kind of get in the way. Those aren't good bunkers. Bad bunkers. Really bad bunkers. Really bad bunkers. Yeah, Donald Trump. Hidden in his bunker, or hiding in his bunker. And I knew somebody, I heard of a story once about somebody else who hid in a bunker. In fact, he actually died in a bunker. Okay, that's it for now.